Hey people of YouTube, I just want to show you a quick video about the Crystalyte Dual Speed. This happens to be a rear motor, which means it's a 408/4012. The 40 represents the magnet width. They're 40mm wide magnets. And the last number, 8 and 12, represent the number of windings per coil. 8 windings are meant for a higher RPM. The 12 winding is a slower RPM. So right now I'm running 36 volts. That's just an old LiPo pack, and I've jimmy rigged a throttle just to test. If I power this up, it has a power button on the back. The light comes on the front, and there's a big toggle switch over here. Right now, let's make sure this is tight. I can start nice and slow, or I can ramp it up. Very modular, and if I flip the switch, that would be 4012. It's a slower speed, but it's very controllable. You can see how slow you can go. I run these motors at up to 100 volts and 50 amps, but I would recommend the dual speed. Not exceeding 30 some amps would be the safe mark. Depending on the weather and your weight and how much you're hauling and the voltage you're running and all this, you can comfortably feed this motor about 1,000 watts. The 2-speed combination allows you to run 2 different size wheels, or whatever size wheel you want, whether it's a 20-inch or a 26-inch wheel. With a 20-inch wheel, you want to run the 408 speed because it's a faster speed. In a larger rim, you would go with the 4012. So you can pick from one or the other. The motor has 2 sets of power leads, and they're labeled 408, 4012, and a single set of hall wires. So you don't have to use a dual speed controller. All this does is switch between these 3 and that 3. Just a big toggle switch. So a single speed controller would work fine. You just pick the speed that you want, connect your hall sensors, and pick your voltage, place your wheel whatever size you want. This specific motor, let me turn this off, is a rear wheel motor with no disc brake, which means that the axle is milled for 5-speed. If you want to run 7-speed, you should add a shim, which means you'll have to stretch your bike frame a little bit. Most bicycle frames that run a 7-speed derailleur are 135mm spacing on the inside. If there's a disc brake, they're normally 150, and these motors will require you to stretch the frame just a notch, to add either like a washer or 2, just so the chain doesn't rub your frame, or your caliper fits inside the disc rotor and everything else. These motor covers can be changed. You can remove the bolts, pull this cover off, put another one on with a threaded collar, and it allows a big flexibility on how you set your bike up, but it involves some, making it happen kind of work. But yeah, that's a dual speed Crystalyte. Something else I wanted to add, I've run almost every motor on the market, from the Bionex to the Crystalyte to the 9 Continents, the Easy motors, the BMCs, the geared Heinzman. All these motors will make a certain sound when you're running. They're not very loud, some more than others, but of all these motors out there, Crystalyte I found to be the most quiet. I mean, you hear this on the microphone of the camera because we're in a sealed room, we're inside, and there's no rim or spokes attached to this to dampen the sound a bit. I found that no matter what voltage you run these at, you'll pass by a pedestrian and they won't even realize there's a motor. They're that quiet, compared to like a 9 Continent motor that makes a significant buzzing sound or a howl when it runs. Geared motors emit a different pitch sound as well because of the gears and the clutch and all that stuff, but gotta hand it to Crystalyte. These are nice and quiet.